This is your 20-minute podcast, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast, and our special guest today from the East Coast, I'm going to guess New York, Kim Interdonato, talking about her new book, Shoes Are Like Men. Is that correct?
You got it. I am from New York. I'm on Long Island, New York. It's still a little cold here, but I'm here.
All right, that a girl. So I got to tell you, the way you communicate with our emails and our chit-chat and all that kind of stuff, it just makes me laugh. So your book has got to be frickin' hysterical.
I have a very good sense of humor. The book, even writing it, I have to tell you, I wrote it when I took my computer out to different restaurants, because if you know the book, it's about shoes and men. Yep. I wasn't dating at the time, so I would take my computer out to different restaurants and write the book. And as I'm writing, I would laugh, because I was even finding myself funny. And, people must have thought I was some kind of lunatic, sitting in restaurants by myself, having a cocktail and having an appetizer and just giggling to myself. The book is very, very funny.
Oh, my God. That's funny. So did the waiters and stuff come up to you and would your computer like another cocktail, ma'am? Are you okay?
No, but I had a lot of people engage in conversation with me because they asked me what I was doing, and I told them I was writing a book. And I think everybody thought, even my family thought I was off the wall when I told them I was going to write a book, because I'm not a writer. I'm a hockey instructor. So, me being a writer was just so off the wall, and it was such an odd concept for me to everyone was like, okay, you're going to write a book? I'm like, yeah, because I feel like it.
Because I can, yeah.
Because I can, and it's becoming quite successful.
Wow.
I've been doing quite a few radio interviews and quite a few, podcasts and trying to get the book out there and a lot of book signings. And I'm having a blast doing it and talking to people about it. It is such a conversational book. So you can read it in like a group, and it's a small book. It's not a large book. It's like a coffee table book of 42 pages. So if you read it with friends, you guys can all figure out which shoe you dated, or even men have been reading it and saying that it is so comical and they're getting such a funny insight of like what guys are really like.
How fun.
It's such a fun book, and it was so much fun to write, and I'm having a blast with it. And even reading it, reading it over and over again a million times, I go back and there's so many funny one-liners in there. And if you're sitting, especially the summertime, if you're sitting on a beach, you can read it in 2 hours. It's not a hard book to read, but It's fun and it's entertaining. It'll entertain you.
How fun. Well, let's go back a few years. So figure skater, hockey instructor, how did that all come about?
Well, I was a competitive figure skater all through my childhood. And then I started teaching power skating and figure skating. I was doing more figure skating. I was a manager of the rink. And then I ended up, having a child, and, things, my life just took a different turn. Sure. And I ended up doing hockey a lot more because my son does hockey. So I started doing the power skating, and now I'm thriving at it. I'm doing so well. As a matter of fact, I was just taking my tests online today, and now I'm pretty highly accredited through the PSA, which is the Professional Skating Association, and I love doing that job. It's a great job.
Wow.
I mean, I work with amazing, amazing boys and girls, and I'm blessed. How many people get to go into work and is grouchy, and I come out and I'm actually really happy. I mean, right. I have a great job.
So what's power skating? What does that mean?
Power skating is the hockey end of skating. Okay. Hockey is a great, great sport, but if you can't skate, you can't do ice hockey. And you need to learn how to skate properly. And I tell all my kids all the time, if you do this correctly, it's not so hard and it's easy. But you have to learn how to do it. It's not something that just comes natural.
Yeah. How cool. Good for you. You've been doing that for what, 25 years altogether?
Yeah, I've been doing that for 25 years. I've been a skating instructor for 25 years. So I think booking was just such an off-the-cuff, weird thing to do, but it was fun.
Well, and you're only 29, so, God, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to tell people at the rink that I'm 29 since I've been working there for 25 years.
All right, well, let's get back to the book. Shoes Are Like Men. How did you, and you did the illustration, too. The cover of it's just a trip. And so you must have some artist skills.
Yeah, I went to college to become an artist, and I'm a hockey instructor and a writer. Go figure. I'm the epitome of not using your degree. But, at least I put it to work with the illustrations, and I had a great time doing it. I was looking, and I was doing the book, I was looking for pictures to go with the shoes that I was writing about, like the broken shoe, the charity shoe. And my publisher kept going back and saying, well, we can't use that one because that was from the internet. We can't use that one. I'm like, you know what? The heck with you. I'm going to draw it myself.
Nice.
So I ended up doing it myself, and I had a great time doing it. That was more stressful, believe it or not. And writing the book was just so much fun. And, I hope whoever picks up the book, and I hope your listeners do grab the book, because it's not an expensive book. I wanted it to be a small, inexpensive thing so everybody can enjoy it. It's
Nice.
really so much fun, and I truly, truly had a great time writing it.
So you are a Renaissance woman.
I like to say a jack of all trades, but master of none.
Yeah, because you always hear the term Renaissance man, And by definition, you're a Renaissance person. This is it's cool, all the things that you do, and you catch people off guard, like your folks go, you're writing a book? What? And you're fearless, right?
I am, but I'm not. Everything, and I always tell everybody, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're doing that. And you just took your hockey test, and you just wrote a book, and, you're doing all these things. Anybody can do it. And this is also about the book too. Everybody's just got to think positive. If you think positive, the world is endless. And I'm a strong believer in the universe and God. And I just think that, you can do whatever you want to as long as you put your mind to it, and don't give up.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And I'm a man of faith too. And when you have that, and you're not afraid of change, and you just take the leap of faith, man, your world can change in a second, This book has been life-changing for me. Not only putting it out there and putting my life out there, but also my attitude. Even towards dating, I have become such a better dater after writing this book. And I think people would become a better dater after reading this book. Nice.
Because it's, I look at it so differently. I was looking at dating as such a negative thing. When I was writing the book, I just happened to break up with somebody, and I was just also extremely depressed over another ex-boyfriend that I just couldn't get over. And I felt like my world was collapsing, and I felt like everything else was going well in my life except for my dating, and I had to change it around. The only way I could change it around is if I wrote about it and I expressed myself in a way, and it just, believe it or not, just came into a book.
That's fabulous. So a lot of people like to, find ways to journal, find ways to, share it with friends. And really, you just started writing, and all of a sudden, boom, you got a book. I
was writing journals for years.
Yeah.
I was writing a journal, but I was noticing my journal was weird. Every time I look back at my journal, it was always negative. It was, this was negative and that was negative. And then I ended up having another journal I set aside, and I put a journal what I was thankful for. And then I started writing an entire journal with that. So it helped me at least be able to organize my thoughts. So when I was able to sit down and write the book, I was a little bit ahead of the game for someone that just hasn't written anything in their lifetime.
Right. Well, I think gratitude's a big part of life, and you found a way to tap into that, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Even my bad dates, I find, I even joke around now. I tell them all the time, I say, I am so thankful those bad days. They made this great book. They made for a great book.
Right.
The time you're going through things, sometimes you don't realize it. And it's really hard to laugh at some situations that you're going through, in your dating life. And it's hard to sit there and turn around and laugh until you kind of like take a step out and go, that was pretty funny. I can't believe I actually did that.
Right.
And believe me, this is not a man-bashing book. I didn't bash anybody in this book because I didn't feel like that is appropriate. I actually bashed myself more than I bashed anybody else. I can't believe I did this. And I even said on several interviews, I was not the most perfect person to date. I wouldn't want to date me at times. If I had some of these guys, I would fight with some of these guys. I would have tied up my sneakers and ran.
So I got to ask, so when you meet a guy on a date, is the first thing you look at his shoes?
You know what? I know this sounds terrible. Yes, it is, though. I know. I shouldn't be that shallow because, hey, listen, I'm not perfect either. Everyone has their off days, but
right.
I do. I look at men's shoes. I love the way men dress. I love like a distinguished looking, I like a man that dresses nice.
Yeah.
I feel like he could take care of me because I dress. I'm always, every time I even go out to work, I put sweatpants on and a jacket on to go to work. But when I take off my skates and I talk to my parents and I off the ice professionally, I like to look good.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that when I work from home, I have a studio in my house, and I get up every morning and I get dressed, where I could just, it's a 10-second commute to the coffee pot and it's a 30-second commute to the studio. and I could just throw on my sweats and call it a day. But there's something about getting up, taking a shower, getting dressed, and just stepping into life,
Absolutely. It's about having pride for yourself. It's like,
Yeah.
If you feel good, you're going to look good, you feel good, you're going to project that energy. And everybody projects an energy about them. And you can either have a very negative energy or very positive. And I know that my energy is extremely positive. And even when I talk to people, you always try to find the good in people.
Absolutely. Well, your energy comes through in spades on this podcast. So I'm having a blast. So tell me about some of the shoes. Give me a couple of examples of shoes are like men.
Oh, I have the hot shoe. Everybody wants to date the hot shoe. Boy, I'll tell you, I've dated enough hot shoes, and they've broken my heart. And I've tried to impress the hot shoe. And in the book, you'll hear about my dating situation of how I tried to impress my hot shoe. And at the end, he dumps me for the girl that can actually tame the hot shoe. Then we have the charity shoe, which is always my favorite. That's the guy you always, you break up with, you go back with, you go back, you break up with, you go back with. I had a bunch of shoes one time, like 20 shoes, and I had a charity box. And to put these shoes, I felt like I was giving away one of my children.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, no, I feel so strongly about my shoes. I know this is stupid, and I know it's an inanimate object, but it's I love shoes. I love buying them. I love going shoe shopping. It's like my favorite thing. I feel like it dresses me up. I feel good when I wear them. So to give away 20 of them was like horrible. But that was the same thing like the guy that you break up with. It's like I was giving away, I was taking them back. I was giving away, I was taking them back. And then there was dates that I didn't even go on. I've had dates that I never even went on, and that was those are some other different shoe styles.
So how would that work? So you have a date set up and you don't go on it, and how does that relate to a shoe then?
There was a guy that I was going, I tried to go out with, I was trying to go out with and trying to go out with, and he just kind of never asked me out. So that was a shoe that I just kind of left on the shelf. You go shoe shopping.
Like that, yeah.
You just kind of left that shoe on the shelf, that shoe was in, like how many times you go past a shoe rack and you're like, or, a shoe store and you're like, I really like that shoe. Maybe I'll buy it later. And you never end up buying the shoe. That was this guy and me and this date. He never ended up going on the date with me. He never ended up buying the shoe. I was like this thing on the shelf. So, what you think the book would be is not. And that's what I love about it. And that's what I love. Like, whoever reads the book, you can put whatever you want to it. It's put your own style to it.
How fun is that? Make it your own, really.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great and conversational about this book.
I love the idea. In fact, it seems like when I was looking through some of your stuff, there was if I remember correctly, there was a video with you and 3 or 4 other ladies, and you were just chatting about the book, right?
Yeah, I did several podcasts, and women. I mean, you ask them about their dates, and I'll tell you, I've been asking more men about their dates, and I'm getting the greatest conversations out of them, because everybody wants to tell you about what happened and what this crazy guy did or what he did, or even men have been coming up to me. My guy friends have been coming up to me and have been asking me, "Can you write a book on the flip side?" And I think that's definitely going to be in the works.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Side, so you guys get to have a little chance of your own spotlight and stand on your own soapboxes.
That sounds like a natural. Are you in the process or just kind of?
No, I started the new book, and then that'll probably be book 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely like into it. I'm like hook, line, and sinker. I love doing it, and it's fun. It's been so much fun doing.
Wow. So what's your second book?
I think it's going to be Men Are Like Cocktails. I haven't decided if it's going to be Men Are Like Cocktails or Men Are Like Shoes again.
Yeah.
So shoes are like men again. So I got to write about things I know, and I'm not the biggest drinker in the world, so cocktails are a little hard for me. But shoes I know pretty darn good.
I love it. I love it. So people want to get your book, and obviously they do now after hearing you. It's available Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, all kinds of places, right?
Yeah, Amazon right now, if anyone's buying the book, please just tap on it. It says it's temporary out of stock. That just means that it's coming a little later than you'd want it to come. It takes about 2 weeks instead of 3 days, like Amazon.
Oh, okay.
They just restocked it. It's just flying off the shelves, which is great.
That is great. And gosh, I'm intrigued by it. I'm going to have to go get it my own self.
I'll send you. I'll have to send you one, David. You and your wife will have a good laugh.
Oh yeah, we'll just sit around and talk about it. I'm fascinated by that. All right, so it is Kim Interdonato in Long Island, New York, and you can find the book "Shoes Are Like Men" Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble. Do you have a website where people can check in and laugh with you?
Yes, it's shoesareLikeMen.com. And, like me on Facebook if you'd like. Look me up on Instagram. I have a Twitter. Please, give me your input. I love hearing from everybody, and I will answer you.
Nice. And that would be a great way for men to reach out to you with their own stories through social media to kind of feed your book a little bit.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to interview anybody. Any great stories I would love to put in the book. The next book 3.
Whether it's shoes are like cocktails or shoes are like women, we don't know yet, so we'll find out.
Well, yes. Well, I'm going to keep you all on a cliffhanger.
That a girl. Well, when the new book comes out, reach out to me. I want to do this again.
I would love to. I would love to. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Thanks, Kim. Kim Interdonato, author and illustrator of the book Shoes Are Like Men. And you can go to shoesareLikeMen.com, Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places, social media, Twitter, Instagram. Check it out. It'll be even more fun than this conversation. Kim, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
You've been listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, and we'd like you to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/your 20-minute podcast.
Until next time, don't forget to download your free audiobook at audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast. That's audibletrial.com/your 20-minute podcast for your free audiobook. And thanks for listening to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower.